This video is a bit of a tangent to my regular content. There's some confusion as to why Latin Americans would have voted for Donald Trump given the things that have been said, given the desire to deport Latin Americans. Now, I'm not going to give you the only reason. I'm going to be focusing on Venezuela. But what's happening in Venezuela and the conflict between the U.S. and Venezuela, I think that plays into this in a very significant way. First off, the migrant crisis at the border. Many people believe it's Mexicans coming across the border. It's not. There are many nationalities that are coming across the border. Many of them start their journey in Venezuela. They go through Colombia. They go across the Darien Gap, which is essentially the border between Panama and Colombia. Migrants crossing the Darien Gap heard of Donald Trump's victory, and they picked up the pace. They're trying to get to the U.S. while they still can. Now, here is a fear amongst the Latin American community that along with the migrants, the criminals are coming. Again, I'll use Venezuela as an example. In Venezuela, it has become safer. Why? Because the economy is so shit in Venezuela, the criminals can't earn a living. So they've left. And they have set up shop in the U.S. So if the U.S. decides they're going to round these people up and send them back, where are they going to go? This is where the plot thickens. In El Salvador, they built a sea-cop prison. They rounded up their gangs and they sent them to prison. No trial. Human rights activists have denounced this. However, the government of El Salvador has decided that the human rights of peaceful citizens is more important than the human rights of gang members. And to be clear, reports of people wrongfully imprisoned, very sparse. The face tattoo that says MS-13 tends to be a giveaway. Anyway, the point is Venezuela could use a prison like this, or a few of them. The problem is Venezuela is in shambles at the moment. I've reported on the corrupt elections, how they're just stealing money from the economy. They're not going to build a prison. The government of Venezuela would have to be overthrown for a prison like this to be built. That would require investment from the U.S. as well. Elon Musk is in a war of words with Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela. Elon Musk will be in charge of investment for the U.S. And I've mentioned this before, Eric Prince, the CEO of Blackwater, he's raring to go. He just needs someone to pay the bills. Someone with deep pockets. Someone who'd be willing to give away $100 million or so. Before I go on any further, I'm going to plug this. Jack Ryan Season 2, where they go to Venezuela. It's complete fiction, but it's based on a lot of fact. Let me get to that. Now, a side benefit of going into Venezuela and solving this migrant problem is that the U.S. would gain control of Venezuela's oil. Not necessarily by taking over Venezuela, but by overthrowing the government, you could pull Venezuela out of OPEC. It would open the doors for American companies to go into Venezuela and invest, clean up these oil fields, and create new jobs. It'd be fantastic for the economy of Venezuela and much of Latin America, not the entire Western Hemisphere. Aside from oil, Venezuela has some very important minerals. Very important for the green future. And the United States has known this for a long time. So to recap, if the U.S. goes into Venezuela, they could stop the migrant crisis at the source. They could build prisons to deport Venezuelan criminals to. They would gain a stranglehold on the world's most important resource, oil, because then Venezuela would become an ally as well as Canada. And so the U.S., Canada, and Venezuela would produce more oil than anybody else on the planet. The U.S. would gain some control on these very important minerals for the green future. And lastly, you remember what this guy is famous for, aside from, a bad TV show and being a criminal? It's real estate. Venezuela is a beautiful Caribbean country, and the real estate is super cheap because people have fled the country. Fantastic place to invest in real estate, assuming the U.S. takes control. It's all conjecture at the moment. I'm just spitballing over here. Will it happen? I don't know. Could it happen? Is there a lot of reason for it to happen? Oh, yes.